And welcome to Bayou Time on a very sad note, but an inspirational note, we should say. And we now bring up the picture right there of Mr. Philip Peter Chauvin Sr., who passed away at the age of 94, surrounded by his loving family. And of course, he had a visitation and Christian burial at St. Joseph Catholic Church on Saturday. Mr. Philip is survived by his loving wife. Everyone knows Miss Pat LaPerouse Chauvin. They were married for 68 years. His children, Phyllis Henry and husband Bob, Patrick Chauvin and wife Tammy, Philip Chauvin Jr. and wife Janine, the grandchildren, Emily Stufley, Patrick Chauvin, Suzanne Melanson, Corey Henry, Amy Portier, June Zarang, Jonathan Chauvin, and Justin Chauvin. 23 great-grandchildren. I had the privilege of sitting down with both of them. Call it the one-on-one show, but it was a one-on-two. And certainly, of course, you know Miss Pat. She is the vocal leader of that group. Mr. Philip was a little more reserved and quiet, but we did get him to give us a few answers on that show. And one of the first questions I asked him when I got to him on the show was about being a trailblazer.
Your husband came up to you one day and said, you know that dress shop you've been wanting to own? Go into that, because that tells me a lot about Mr. Philip and how he saw a passion in you, but he probably saw the passion because the job you were doing, you wasn't quite tickled pink about doing it at the time, but your passion was to own a dress shop.
Well, when I got married, I met Philip when I was 15. And we waited till I graduated on May 28th, and we got married on August 28th. So my dream then was to be a good wife, a mother, and have a family, and I was happy with that. I was happy, very happy being a mom and staying-home mom.
Right.
But this was a dream that I had, and he saw the opportunity that we could have it.
But back in those days, and Mr. Philip, I'll let you answer this question, that wasn't the norm for a husband to want the wife to work. That was back years ago, where the wives, like Miss Pat said, probably stayed home unless you were in the medical field or some other type of field like that. So you were a groundbreaker years ago. Did you know you were a groundbreaker?
No.
Yeah. What made you do that? What made you walk up to her and say, all right, here's your dream, let's go get it?
Well, I had a job running a boat, and I'd work a week on, a week off. And during my week off, I could do all this stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
Now, coming back to starting in one room, after a while, the clothes moved into the living room, and then they were moving into the dining room. So that's when we decided that we had another little building on the street corner. Right. We turned that into a dress shop.
So it was growing pretty fast.
Yeah. And we stayed in there not very long, about 2 years. Mm-hmm. And then we moved that building out and built a brick building where the library is right now.
Right.
And we probably stayed about 10, 12 years there until we moved to the other. We had 2 stores open one time. We had a ladies, then we moved a men and children's in the other one.
All right, there you hear, and that's just an excerpt from that show. And we talked about him also being the cheerleader in the bunch.
Are you the cheerleader in this bunch when Ms. Pat wants to do something, or she's bought $90,000 in uniforms and it doesn't quite go right?
Well,
you got to step up and be the cheerleader?
All I have to do is write the checks for all that.
All right. You're the bookkeeper, I forgot. You're the bookkeeper. She did tell me that.
Pat doesn't have to worry about bookkeeping in the store. I'll take care of all of that.
But she's got to worry about selling that stuff, huh?
We make a good team. My daughter works with us, and somebody told me one day, how do you work with your mom and dad? She said, it's easy. Dad's in the office, I'm on the floor, Mom's on the floor, and I'm somewhere else. So.
Right, right.
And on that show, I guess you could tell they have a very good relationship. That was many years ago, as you could tell by the color of the hair. But I made a comment to him on the show and asked a question that they act like they just met.
Y'all still act like y'all just met. What's the secret to that? Look, there's a lot of people watching
We have very much
now.
in common between us. We like the same things. We
What do y'all like? What are some of the things y'all like? Y'all like to dance?
We did.
used to.
Used to
Okay, all right.
My knees won't let me anymore.
Yeah, yeah,
travel. We travel a lot.
right.
And the business has afforded us to travel quite a bit. We go to New
Right.
York every 3 months, shows in Dallas, Atlanta, and we've been to California. So we're going quite a bit.
Let's close the way we started. Let's bring up the picture again of Mr. Philip Chauvin. He was a great man of his Catholic faith and loved his family. He was a parishioner, St. Joseph Catholic Church, held many positions within the church. He was a Eucharistic minister, a lector, volunteered his time cutting grass and working around the church. He also worked in the oil field marine transportation. He later bought a trawl boat called Seagull to have more time with his family and help with the business. And of course, he and his wife owned and operated Paths of Chauvin clothing store for 52 years. He was an inspiration to many in this community. We wanted to honor him on a segment of Bayou Time. You can see more of this on FaceTime and Facebook and YouTube and wherever you could find it, but he was certainly a man who was well respected here in the community. Our condolences to the whole family.